Hello friends, Satya Sani analysis of current affairs welcomes you. Today I am back with a new topic of current affairs, anti-defection law. To understand this topic, I have divided into 5 sub-headings. The first heading is what is anti-defection law, second is need for anti-defection law, third is provisions of anti-defection law, and fourth is problems or loopholes in anti-defection law, and fifth and last dimension is the solutions. Now one by one we will be taking all these dimensions. If I give some the context in which this topic has become quite relevant, so a large number of anti-defection law has taken place recently in India. For example, Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, and recently in Rajasthan. Therefore, this topic has become quite relevant for understanding the Indian politics as well as for IS and PCS exams. The first dimension I am taking is what is anti-defection law? What is anti-defection law? This is a constitutional law that was added in the constitution by 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1985. Beside also there is a rule made by the presiding officer of the respective house. Along with also there is a 91st Constitutional Amendment Act through which certain provision has been also included in our constitutions. Under this anti-defection laws, if a person violates this law, he can be disqualified. Means anti-defection law makes provision for disqualification for a member of a house if he violates the provisions of anti-defection laws. Now the question arises, what is defections? What is defections? The member of different political party, because of greed of money, greed of post, and otherwise used to leave the mother party on the ticket of which they have been elected, and that brings the political crisis in India, and that aspect has to be taken care of in India. Next dimension if I take is need for anti-defection law. Why need arises for the anti-defection laws? This anti-defection law is also known by a common name, Aya Ram and Gaya Ram politics. In Haryana, one MLA was there. In a single day, he changed 3 political parties, and therefore this aspect is also known as Aya Ram Gaya Ram politics. And because of this defections, political defections, the members used to leave the mother political party on the ticket, on the manifesto of that political party they have been elected, and because of that a large number of political crises, the constitutional crisis used to come into existence in India, and government used to fall, and that brings frequent election expenditure. To handle this the problem, this Constitutional Amendment Act was passed. The problem was so intensive that if we look at one data from 1967 to 1971, about 142 MP defected and about 1900 MLAs defected. To take care of this problem, this anti-defection law through 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act was added in our constitution in the form of 10th schedule. So that was the need for that to take care of this political defections. Although India is a multi-party democracy where there is a right to make political parties, right to contest elections, but that should be based on political ideologies and not because of self-interest, the greed for money, the greed for post. That can be based on political ideology like capitalism, socialism, moderates, conservatives. But in India, political defection does not take place on the basis of this ideology, but because of selfish interest. Therefore, a large number of political parties have been victims of this, the political defections. To take care of this anti-defection law in the form of 10th schedule was brought into existence. So I discussed need for anti-defection laws. The third dimension is the provisions of anti-defection law. What are the provisions of anti-defection law? For this, some mnemonics I have given here, like id, s, made up. If I take the first letter, and that is I means interpretations. Interpretations, what are the words used in anti-defection law? How to interpret? What is the meaning of this? Under this, some of the key terms have been defined. One key term I am taking here, and that is house. House means what? Means this anti-defection law is applied to which houses? Here house means parliament, that is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and a state legislature, legislative assembly and legislative council. Means anti-defection law is applied only to Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, legislative assembly and legislative council. It does not apply to panchayat level. It applies only to this Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, legislative assembly and legislative council, and no other elective houses. So this I word interpretations. Then after that, second provision is disqualifications. When a member of a house disqualifies, what are the conditions? Besides disqualification under any other laws, whatever laws are there. What are disqualification under anti-defection law? What are the grounds for disqualification under anti-defection law has been mentioned here. The first basis is if an elected member gives off, the technical word here written is gives off, the term I have written here. Gives off means if a political member who has been elected on the ticket of a political party, on the manifesto of a political party, gives off, that is resigns voluntarily from the membership of his party, he can be disqualified under anti-defection laws. So this is one of the basis for that. Beside, through 91st Constitutional Amendment Act, in our constitution in Article 75, provision was made that if elected member disqualifies, he can't hold any ministerial post. Beside, also by making the rules, it has been made provision that he also can't held any remunerative post that yield money. So that this is one of the grounds for disqualification. Another ground is votes or abstain against the direction of party whip. The term whip, in every house there used to be a party leader who can also hold the post of whip, or a separate person can hold the post of whip, and the post of party leader can be held by another persons. The party whip is a person designated by the political party in a house to direct its member to vote in a particular way, vote or not to vote, present in the house or absence in the house, vote or absent from voting. So under this provision, if a member of a political party votes or abstain from voting against the party whip, and the party does not forgive that member within 15 days, he can be disqualified. So these are the grounds for disqualifications under anti-defection law. So two provisions until now, the two provisions I discuss. Beside also some of the grounds for disqualification are if an independent member joins any political party, he can be disqualified. For nominated member, the provision is that if a nominated member joins any political party after 6 months, he can be disqualified. So these four grounds are for the disqualification under anti-defection laws. Next provision is a split. Under para 3rd, this was para 1, this is para 2, this is para 3rd. In para 3rd, there was a provision of a split. That is, if 1/3 member of a political party gives up the membership of mother party and makes another a splinter group, they will not disqualify. But that was a loophole in the anti-defection law. Therefore, through 91st Constitutional Amendment Act 2003, this provision of a split has been removed from the anti-defection law 10 schedule, and therefore this is no more. Consequently, even if 1/3 member of a political party leaves membership, they can be disqualified. So this is no more, therefore they can be disqualified. 1/3 split is not allowed after 91st Constitutional Amendment Act. And also already I explained above that through this very 91st Constitutional Amendment Act, provision was made, constitution was amended, and that provision is that a person, if elected member disqualifies, he can't become minister. He can't become a minister. Besides, he can't hold any other post which can yield money, that is any remunerative post. So this one. Next provision mentioned in paragraph 4, and that is merger. Under this, if 2/3 member of a political party leaves the mother party and makes another political parties or merge with another political party, they will be not disqualified. The rationality before making this provision is that to allow making of political party and that is defections on the basis of ideology. Because India is a multi-party democracy where there is a right to make political party on the basis of ideology, and therefore this provision of merger is justified, although it is criticized that anti-defection law allows large level of defections, but merger is justified in a multi-party democracy. It has to be there to allow the making of new political parties on the basis of ideology, because India is a multi-party democracy. This is the conscience of the democracy, to incorporate new ideas. So that about merger. The fourth paragraph is merger, and the fifth paragraph talks about exemptions. It talks about certain exemptions where anti-defection law is not applicable. For example, in case of Lok Sabha, if a speaker resigns from his mother political party on which ticket he has been elected, he will be not disqualified. This provision is justified so that he can work without biasness, without partisanship based on parties. In that very pattern, the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha, if leaves the mother party, he will be also not disqualified. This is also applicable in case of legislative assembly of the state. If a speaker, deputy speaker resigns from the mother political party, they will be not disqualified. This is also case in case of legislative council of the state, where chairman and deputy chairman, if they resign from the mother political party on which ticket they have been elected, they will be not disqualified. So I talked about exemptions. Then next paragraph is sixth paragraph, and it talks about decision on disqualification. It says that decision of a speaker is final. It means a speaker is the final authority to decide on disqualification, and his decision is final. To tell you that, to differentiate whatever provisions in our constitution for disqualifications are there, they can be divided into two parts, one under anti-defection law and others, etc., like Representation of People Act and other provisions. So if a member is disqualified under anti-defection law, the final authority is presiding officer of the concerned house. And if an elected member, if a member of a house is disqualified in any other law than anti-defection law, the final authority used to be president or governor, as the case may be, on the advice of election commission. In this case, under anti-defection law, the final authority to take decision on disqualification is the presiding officer of the concerned house. And last provision is para 7, and it talks about bar of the court, bar the jurisdiction of the court on the decision of disqualification of the presiding officer. It means the decision of presiding officer on disqualification can't be questioned in any court of law. This is very, very important, the provision. Later you have to study with the help of cases, because this was challenged. So this aspect about provisions of anti-defection law. Now next dimension I am taking the problems or loopholes in anti-defection laws. What are the problems or loopholes in anti-defection laws? Assessment. We can also say that this dimension may assess how far anti-defection law has been successful in India. It seems that anti-defection law, although it has been successful, but its intensity, accentuity is not high. Still, the problems of anti-defection law, anti-defection is still prevalent, and therefore there are certain loopholes or problems in anti-defection law that needs to be sorted out through amendment of 10th schedule to make this more effective. Let's see then what are the problems, what are the loopholes in the anti-defection law. The first is GIPSOF. GIPSOF, anti-defection law, the provisions of anti-defection law say that if a member gives off, that is resigns from the membership of the political party, he can be disqualified. But the meaning of gives up is not clear. Whether gives up is equal to resignation or gives up, the term gives up is larger than resignations. And therefore, there is a subjectivity in this gives word, whether gives off is similar to that of resignations. Let us see the situations arises on the basis of this. Recently, the conflict arises in Rajasthan related to Sachin Pilot. He has not resigned from the membership of political party of Congress, but he has been criticizing at different forums, also not following the order of the party leaders. Whether that amounts to gives up, whether that amount to resignations, that is the loopholes in anti-defection law. They say that still he also keep on telling that I have not resigned from the political parties. This aspect, this term gives off, although already defined by Supreme Court in different cases. 3 cases are already here. What is the meaning of gives off? Rabi S. Nayak versus Union of India, 1994 Supreme Court. G. Biswanath versus Speaker Tamil Nadu, 1996 Supreme Court. Then Ram Chandra Prasad versus Sharad Yadav. In all these cases, it has been held by Supreme Court that the term gives off is larger than resignation. To come under gives off, it is not necessary that a person has to clearly resigns, formally resigns. Even gives up can be interpreted with the help of his conduct. His resignation need not be formal resignation. His resignation can be implicit, expressed, implied by his conduct, by the behavior of the Sachin Pilot. It can be inferred whether he has gives up the membership of the political party or not. Already this judgment is there, but still there is subjectivity. So this, there is a need to amend this anti-defection law, and the term gives up should be made more clear. What are the situations in which this can be applied? What is the meaning of this term gives up? So that the situation like Rajasthan can be avoided. The members don't used to formally resign, but keep on working against the interest of the party. Although already there is judgment of Supreme Court. Even in case of this Sharad Yadav, he was keep on criticizing the JDU and he was disqualified. So that aspect and loopholes in anti-defection law. Then another is votes or abstain from voting. This votes and abstain from voting very important for IS exam, and one question related to this has been also asked on this point. This votes and abstain was challenged in this case Quijota Holohan versus Jha Chilhu 1992 Supreme Court. It was challenged that this provision violates fundamental right under Article 19(1)(a), freedom of speech and expressions, because it says that if a person votes or abstains from voting against the party whip, he can be disqualified, and therefore it violates Article 19(1)(a), freedom of speech and expressions. In this case, Quijota Holohan case, Supreme Court held that this is valid, but a member is not bound to vote, not bound to follow the direction of the party whip in every case. Only in certain cases where if he will be not voting, the government is likely to fall, like no confidence motion, the confidence motion, the voting on money bill, and certain other policy matters which are related to manifesto of the party, because these members have been elected on the ticket and manifesto of the political parties, and therefore they are bound to vote accordance with the party whip if there is a voting on the policy matters and the situation, the conditions where the government is likely to fall, like money bill, confidence motion, no confidence motion. It means Supreme Court has strike a balance between freedom of speech and expressions and the objective of anti-defection law. So in this case, Quijota Holohan versus Jha Chilhu 1992, Supreme Court strike a balance between fundamental right, freedom of speech and expressions, and the objective of anti-defection law. Next problem is merger. Merger, already I mentioned above, anti-defection law allows large level of defections. A split has been abolished, 1/3 member can go away, has been abolished, but merger is still allowed. It means anti-defection law allows large level of defections. But already I justified this. This is justified on the basis of political ideology. Then para 7. This para 7, as I discussed earlier here, it bars the jurisdiction of the court, means decision of presiding officer can't be questioned in any court of law. It is written in this case there. This para 7 was challenged. In this case, this very case, Quijota Holohan versus Jha Chilhu 1992 Supreme Court there. Supreme Court in this case held that para 7 is invalid because it violates basic structure of the constitution. While presiding officer decides on disqualification, he works as a tribunal, as a head of the tribunal. Therefore, his decision is not beyond judicial review. His decision is open for judicial review. And this provision takes away judicial review power of the judiciary, which is basic structure of the constitution, and therefore in this Quijota Holohan case, Supreme Court declared para 7 invalid. And after this judgment 1992 ki ho to Lohan, even the decision on disqualification of presiding officers are open to judicial review. Then next problem, loopholes, role of a speaker. If you see at the role or decision of a speaker, it seems that it is biased. Speakers, most of the speakers, particularly at the Legislative Assembly, works in partisanship. Although they resign from the membership of that political party, but they still work partisanship. And since there is no time limit fixed for taking decision for the speaker, they keep on delaying because of certain reasons. And his decision, he is the final authority to take decisions, and there is no need for advice of a like election commission. Unlike in case of disqualification, in other laws except anti-defection law, the final authority are president or governor. In case of the parliament, president. In case of the state legislature, the governor. And president and governor, they have to decide only on the advice of election commission, which is binding on president or governor. Therefore, president and governor in that case are not biased. They don't work in partisanship, unlike in case of role of a speaker. So this provision should be also brought in case of anti-defection law. Whatever the power is given to take decision on disqualification under other laws, this, the role of a speaker, can be only on the advice of election commission, and the advice of election commission shall be binding on the speaker, and then this problem can be solved. No time limit to take decision for the speaker, already I highlighted for this, therefore they keep on delaying the things. Next, no intervention of court before decisions. Unless a speaker takes certain decision, court can't do anything, and that the problem also can be sorted out. And next loophole was who can complain. Whatever rules have been made by respective the houses was that only a member of the house can complain under anti-defection law. But in a judgment, a speaker, Odisha Assembly versus Utkal Kesri 2013, Supreme Court hold that not only a member of the house but any person can complain. So this problem has been solved. Next problem or loopholes in the anti-defection law is that it is not applicable in the proceeding of election of Rajya Sabha member. Although in this also there is involvement of the cross voting and horse trading, use of money power. This aspect was considered by Supreme Court in Kuldeep Nair versus Union of India 2006. Supreme Court held that anti-defection law is not applicable to the election of member of Rajya Sabha because in para 2b it is written that anti-defection law is applicable only for voting or absent from voting against party whip. Since the process of election of member of Rajya Sabha does not comes under the proceeding of the house, and therefore anti-defection law is not applicable in the process of election of Rajya Sabha. But there is a need to amend anti-defection law 10th schedule and also bring the process of election of Rajya Sabha member within the ambit of anti-defection law. So these are the problems in that case in anti-defection law. Then come to the solutions. Okay, what are the solutions for that? What are the way out to solve this problem? What can be done? How to solve this problem in India? The first solution may be switching over to presidential form of government. At present in India, there is a parliamentary form of government where council minister is collectively accountable to the lower house, the popular house. If we switch over to presidential form of government, this problem can be solved. The tenure of the government will be fixed. At present, what happens? The chief minister, prime minister, they more concentrate on managing political faction, how to save their government, and instead of focusing on administration. And if we switch over to presidential form of government, this problem can be sorted out because tenure will be fixed. But that is very difficult. Supreme Court held that that is basic structure of the constitution. Second solution, already I discussed here, that the final authority to take decision on the disqualification under anti-defection law should be given to president or governor on the advice of the election commission. Next is anti-defection law tribunal. Supreme Court has advised the government to make anti-defection law tribunal to decide disqualifications. And next solution is bar from contesting election. Means if a person leaves the mother political party, he should be barred from the contesting election from the remaining period, or a particular period, maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. What present problem is there? We can take the situation of Karnataka, where the Congress MLA defected to BJP, they resigned, government falls, BJP makes the government, and in next election, those who Congress member resigned were given ticket. They contested, they won the election and they became ministers. If they resign that pace, this situation was discussed by Supreme Court, this Karnataka situation discussed by Supreme Court in Srimant Balasaheb versus Speaker Karnataka 2019. In this, a speaker disqualifies the defected Congress member from the membership. Beside, also he disqualified to contest election to defected member for remaining periods. This was challenged in Supreme Court. But Supreme Court held that disqualification of defected members is valid. But their prohibition from contesting election for the future legislative assembly is not valid, because there is no law in the constitution, neither there is any parliamentary law, any legislative law, there is no statute, there is no constitutional provision to prohibit a defected member to contest the election in the next coming legislative assembly. Now there is a need here that to amend the constitution, to amend the anti-defection law, or make the law a statutory law and prohibit the defected member to contest election from the remaining term of the house, or even new house, and then this problem can be solved. To this aspect, I highlighted with the help of case bar from contesting election. Next is ensure transparency and equality in electoral funding. Right now, the most important problem in India is that there is no transparency, accountability in electoral funding. Electoral bonds, the concept system is not right. Because of this, the problem, a particular political party gets huge funding. For example, BJP has got about 94% of total electoral funding, and other party in remaining. If there is a huge money, that money will be misused, and because of that money, horse trading will be taken. So unless there is a reform in this misuse of money power will be not taken out. So some solution is also lying in electoral funding reforms. Now the last solution I am taking from the philosophical base. There are two philosophers on this, political science philosophers on this dimension. One is James Madison. He says that representatives are, that is MP, MLAs, member of a house, are trustee. Representative, MP, MLAs are trustees. Therefore, they represent view of voters. They are trustee. They are trustee of the people, the voters. And therefore, they have to vote in accordance with the voters. It means they can't split. They have no right. They have right to vote in accordance with the direction of the whip. According to J. Madison, they are bound to vote. If they are defecting, joining another political party, that is cheating. That is unethical behavior on the part of MP, MLAs. Second philosopher is Edmund Burke. He says that representatives, that is MP, MLA, are delegates, so they can vote in the house on their own judgment. They are free to vote or abstain from voting the way they want, because they are delegates. This is followed. This is emphasized by Edmund Burke, and this is in force in USA, UK, and Australia. Means in these three countries there is no anti-defection law. But whether this system is suitable in USA, whether this system is suitable in India, we have followed this very system. In this country, ethics is more developed. Unlike in India, people are driven by money, greed. The development of ethics is less. So whether if system we are following here in India, this is not successful. For the time being, it seems that this system is better for India. So now, to conclude, we can say that political defections has become a huge problem in India. It brings political instability. Chief Minister wastes most of his precious time not on administration but managing the faction, manage his government from falling down, and therefore there is a need to again amend the 10th schedule, that is anti-defection law, so that this problem can be solved. political crisis, constitutional crisis can solve, and the government can function properly, and the aspirations of the constitution can be realized. So now in this topic so much. Thank you so much.